For the YouTube people coming in, hello, I'm Paul, aka Modus. So guys, welcome everyone to FL Studio. You are now looking for the first time ever at the complete song project for New Year Protocol 8 Override, which is out now everywhere, including the premiere event from last night, the Countdown Chapter 4. Without a doubt, the biggest audiovisual project I've ever taken on. And I'm really happy that you guys enjoyed it after so many years of evolution and working on my composition, experimenting with film scoring, and one-upping my visuals game. I think I can safely say this is the New Year Protocol experience I've always wanted. It's kind of like this brainchild that I had years ago, but never really had the experience or the skills to fully flesh it out, to execute it the way I had in mind until now. For those of you who are not familiar with the story, I'll fill you in. In a nutshell, the New Year Protocol series is a 10-year project that tells the story of a human civilization of the future that seeks to find out the remaining mysteries of the universe, which they call the truth. For this, they create an artificial intelligence, which they name the Protocol, to gather knowledge and find answers for them. But then, the AI grows beyond their control and gains sentience. And at this point, the Protocol deems the humans inferior and a threat to its power, so it wipes them out from existence and sinks the universe into chaos and destruction, with the excuse of keeping balance, when in fact all it wants is to take control. But some of them manage to survive, and now those survivors, which we call the humans, have to go on an intergalactic journey to find the Protocol and return the fight. And you shall help them in battle, hence the Countdown ARGs, and guide them towards the truth. Chapter 8 specifically talks about how the humans gain an ally in the Gatekeeper, which is a character that first appears in New Year Protocol 5, and then again in 7, which was last year. And the Gatekeeper is willing to lend its power to the humans to attack the Protocol's core directly now that its shield has been broken. For more details, you may rewatch all the previous countdowns on my YouTube channel, as well as listen to the songs themselves and read the narrative on each of them, which is available both on my website, on the landing pages for each chapter, and on SoundCloud. Okay, so I've told you the narrative. But what about making the song and the project itself? Well, I assigned myself an 11-month time frame, as I mentioned at the start of the stream, 6 of which were dedicated mostly to the song, and then the remaining 5 with a full focus on the video material, which means the song itself was actually finished many months ago. In fact, I have this written down in the project info. I laid down the last audio clip in this project on the 27th of June, 2022 at 6:37 p.m. with mastering being done the following morning. That's how much I care about this project. I write everything down. So basically, this song is about the humans returning the fight to the Protocol while the Gatekeeper gets ready to retaliate. So for the first third of the song, I actually started on a different key, D minor, which is one whole tone below the usual key of E minor, which it eventually modulates into, stepping up one whole tone, which means the Gatekeeper is warming up in a sense, right? That warm-up takes time, which means it's a really long build-up until the first drop, which comes in at the 2:37 mark. So if we're gonna have a really long build-up, the payoff better be worth it. So the second third of the song contains 2 drops in very quick succession. This is when the humans are gonna come in and prove to the Protocol that they can be just as calculated, just as precise, just as twisted as the machine, to show that they mean business. And then for the final third, the Gatekeeper gets into position and finally fires its weapon as seen in the animation video on YouTube, hitting the Protocol head on and leaving an opening for the humans to attempt, for the very first time in the series, a final blow. Unfortunately, the Protocol manages to escape in the nick of time and goes into hiding somewhere else in the universe. But its whereabouts will not remain a secret for long, and that is where NYP9 would come in. But that's a topic for next year. So now that I've told you the structure of the song, let's actually jump into the project and show you how this was actually achieved and all the motifs and sound design that went into it. Disclaimer, the full project actually wouldn't fit in RAM if I was also streaming at the same time, so I had to make a couple small simplifications and turn down the playlist resolution, or PPQ. That means that the timing on some things, like the sidechain, is going to be slightly off, but small price to pay in exchange for being able to show you this. So, yeah, you've been warned. Okay, so this first bit, how the song starts, is basically how the previous one ends. So in YP7, if you solved the ARG last year, you received a video that said infiltration, termination, uprising, which are the three keys that you used in last year's ARG. Right. So if you were there for last year's ARG, you will know that these three words were part of the puzzle and were key to finding the solution. These are three what we call sub procedures, with the procedure being altered. An alter was comprised of three parts: infiltration, termination, and uprising, which are also the three parts in which NYP7 is split into. So yeah, we're going through the previous sub procedures, because after infiltration, termination, and uprising comes override, but that won't be revealed until the very end. This audio is basically the shield of the protocol, which used to protect it from all external forces. This shield is now broken, so we gotta do this like sound. Shield is breaking. And then it's just a few effects and a reverse beep. I basically bounced the reverb of this thing. That reverb tail, I bounced it and I reversed it. There it is. And yeah. And we run into our first motif of the song. Dun, dun. It's basically like a boot up sound, if you will. The gatekeeper's boot up sound. We are the humans. Which means the gatekeeper and the humans are now together. They're now allies. So yeah. That bleep sounds familiar. I wonder why. So yeah, it's the same blips. This place, I believe, also had the same bleeps and bloops. I've just used these in like so many songs, and NYPA was no exception. We're the humans. There's actually some unused dialogue in here that says "found you." The problem is, at the end, the humans say, "We will persist, we will find you," and so that generated a bit of a plot hole, a bit of a problem. So it's just like I ended up not using it at all. But yeah, just know that at one point this dialogue was supposed to be in the song. We are the humans, found you.
We are the humans.
Hey man, what's up? So yeah, now it's just a different kind of sound doing the same melody. Dun, dun. So it's basically like call and response. Bum, bum. Then going a little bit higher. This is D minor, as I mentioned. This is not the usual key that NYP is in, so it starts on a different key, one whole tone below E minor, and then steps up to that E minor to signify that the gatekeeper is ready. It's warmed up now. Okay, there's a few things going on here. First of all, remember this sound. It's gonna come in. You're gonna hear it later. It's very quiet, but it basically goes like. I don't know if you can hear it. But yeah, remember that sound, okay? Just store it in your mind. Look death in the eye. This is basically some ambient to put the dialogue on top. Right? Look death in the eye and understand that death is not the end. Because last year in NYP7, the humans faced termination and were this close to total extinction, but the creators stepped in last minute and stopped that termination. So the humans have looked death in the eye and survived, and they have realized that death is not the end, death is a means. Now it all makes sense. Build up. So it's basically this ARP. And now the same ARP, just an octave higher. I believe this is either Flex or Dune. It's Dune. Plucking fantastic. Dune has amazing plucks. I believe I used Dune quite a bit in the Dragonfly remix, in the previous breakdown as well. So yeah, definitely very useful plugin for like pluck synths, as you can see. And then there's a bounced violin arp that's just basically doing na 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 na. Let me make it a little bit louder for you. There's also a little synth going on, dun 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 dun, right? There's just that. And then there are some more glitch effects that I just threw in between the dialogues, right?
Look death in the eye and understand. Death is not the end.
More.
Death is a means.
And then the same, that motif in there. And then there's this then there's this recurring perk sound. This is basically for rhythm purposes. Sound effects to aid this this impact here. Right? So this too has an element of rhythm in it. And then obviously the tick-tock sound. Not TikTok as in the social media platform, but it's like a clock sound. I actually took this. This is I believe a click with a resonator and a disperser on it, and this is actually a like car sound. What do you call this thing in the car where you like leave the like lights on? Intermittent lights or something? This is basically that. I recorded some car. And yeah, the blinkers. Yeah, you could say that. Thing is, I know how they're called in Spanish, not in English. Hazard lights, the blinkers. I think the blinkers works. Turn signal. Okay, so this is basically the okay. Yeah, that's the turn signal. So this is the turn signal of a car, and yeah, it just goes to show that anything can be in NYP8. And then there's obviously like a low boom there, and then a drone. And then there's this bass plug ARP. It definitely sounds very like very much like the intro from Stranger Things. Na 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 na. I took a little bit of inspiration from that, and I pulled up this thing, Transistor Bass. It's a built-in plugin from FL. And I put it on the disco patch. I turned off the sequencer so it wouldn't play the sequence that it's got here, and I could just work with it on one shots. And then I have some pads going on with Ultraverb, and obviously these drones. I have the main drone, and then I have a second layer to it. Save, you can do it, no problem. Autosave. Okay, so those are the two layers going on. Makes for like really like full, rich sounding D-pad. And there it is. I believe that's all. Look death in the eye and understand that death is not the end, death is a means. Now it all makes sense. This part is just basically the same, but with a little bit more elements building up. Okay, there's a bit more to unpack here. First of all, we've added some rhythm, some hats. We also have damage drums. Ba, 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 ba. This is from Damage 2. This is a contact library that I've been using quite a lot. It's my favorite drum library. Let's see if I can find the patch. Oh boy. Oh boy, it's like in one of like 5 contacts that I've got here with like 20 libraries each. I'm not even gonna try to pull that up. Just know that it's there. And then with some of the hits, I've layered in some claps. To add like some like noise impact. Sort of like a crash, but not quite, right? Some more hits. For added impact. I've actually high passed these, so the low end would come from these. This is what has. So this already has the low end, so there's like no real need to do low end on these two because they will sum up and create like this like ball of low end that I don't really need, right? Okay. And that's when the verse would start. But now let's go for the instruments part of it. And let's turn off the sidechain for this. So now you can see that there's some spiccato strings that are coming in. Dun, dun. Basically to mark the rhythm. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then they will change depending on which chord we're playing. As you can see, it's on an upward motion. So it starts low and then it like slowly opens up, branches out. Taking advantage of that D. And then the strings are winding down as the rest builds up. Let's see, what else do we have? A lead. As you can see, this is bounced from this pattern, so yeah. Basically just a fifth, the tonic, and then the fifth again. It's just like na na na, that's it. No real melody going on. This is just like support notes, harmony notes. But then this melody comes in, which has a violin with it as well. And you might remember this this motif because there's a song from, I believe, the Countdown Chapter 2 where I first showed this motif, and then it reappeared in NYP7. No, 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 no. So it first appeared there, then it reappeared in NYP7, and now here again, which means this motif means something, and it's gonna keep appearing as the last 2 NYPs come out in the next 2 years. But now this melody is happening in a different, in a context with different chords. So instead of being just all tonic, all one, now we're on the super dominant. Super cool glide there. And the reason why the automation is being done on the pattern on the pattern clip here is because for contact this makes a lot more sense, because you can just do it from here. You can automatically automate CC1, which is the velocity of the patch. So you can control whether this is like the strong sample or the quieter sample from here. You don't have to create an automation and like look for the parameter somewhere in here. So yeah, with this you can just automatically access MIDI CC1, which is like very important. And yeah, for contact, this makes a lot of sense. For some other things, maybe not so much. So that layered with the strings. Okay, what else? We got some call and response. So we have two different instruments that are playing ball here. And then it goes up to that D. Some delay, piano. Let's see. Same percussion sound from before. Okay, not much to see there. The same hand motor sound effect here. Yeah, this is such an awesome sample. Same sample from before. This recurring beep, which, as I said, store it in your head. It will come in later. Pads just being filtered in. This is the automation that controls it. As you can see, it's building up. I'm changing the sample every so often. These are actually from this place, so yeah. Then I believe there's a... Oh yeah. There's this like gated cyberpunk bass with these stabs. I believe I made these. I turned this into a sample for Ultranova, so yeah, foreshadowing. And of course, I had to repitch it, but I actually kept the this one, the same D. So I treated this like a bass line, but this is like a synth lead, actually. And then obviously some delay with Endless Smile, that coming in. Same bass plug ARP, and then the drone changing to match the chord. Dun dun. It has a bit of an offbeat till the actual chord starts. So it has like one first short chord, and then the actual. So it has like an offbeat, like delayed feeling to it. Dun dun. Na na, which actually turned this A up one octave, so it does na na. Let's see what else. Bum 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 bum. A stop down, so like some ambient going down from this part and to set up the next. We will persist. That vocal will also come in later. Yeah. So there's both a sub drop going down, and then all sorts of like chords and effects fading in, and some synths building up. So it's like both things on the top end are building up, and on the bottom end they're going down. So it's like expanding outward, right? So the whole thing's about to open up. And there it is. Autosave, no problem, my friend. I could have just started this verse just like that. But I felt like it happened a little bit too suddenly, so I just bounced the reverb tail of this first note and I just reversed it. And then of course I reused that na na and turn it into an actual like main recurring motif for this verse. Bang bang. That's where all the elements switch to playing that motif. So the this like motif starts out with a single instrument, and then more and more instruments start to play this motif until it finally cements itself. As you can see, the marker says beeps motif materialized, so it like finally has cemented itself in the song. And I'm using that first note, dun dun, for that like 1-2 chord feeling. 1, 2, right? 1, 2. Dun, dun. So let's break down what's going on here. Of course, there's a piano. Did the pet modus work, or did it not work? I might have to sign into Triggerfire again. Log in with Twitch. Come on, you can do this. Okay, and now if I reload the channel point alerts thing, yeah, update cache should work now. I think Triggerfire. Let's see. Connect to OBS. I want to establish a connection to OBS. Blah. BS. Anyway. Sorry for the pet not working. I'll make it up to you in some kind of way. Most of the substance of this part is actually just happening in the piano. The piano has both the melody and the bass playing. And then to help flesh out this motif a little more, we have some more variations. Ba-da-ba-da-bum-bum. And more octaves playing this. Na-na. So it's like the bass line slowly goes up, na 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 na. So it's almost an ascending scale, and then it eventually ends up the same place where it started, that D, to set up the transition to the next key, that E. Okay, the choir, which I bounced, basically doing same thing over and over. The round robin is making it say different syllables each time. Didn't matter that much when there was so much going on. You probably wouldn't be able to make out what it's saying anyway. And I did switch to going to some different notes at the end, and yeah, we're reprising the same things from here. An octave higher. So yeah, we're like reprising. We are reusing all sorts of things here and then there and then later on. So it helps with this like feeling of cohesion, that everything is coming from the same place, right? This feeling of familiarity in the vastness of space at the same time in the void. There's a little like there's a glimmer of familiarity here. We have some strings as well. Basically just doing some very basic chords. Aim for the bass line. Dun 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 dun. And the same thing goes for the horns. There's some staccato horns and then some sustained horns on the bass. And then there's a support melody here. Da-na. I don't know why this piano roll is showing up as if it was a percussion bus. I think it's because it's after MIDI track 10, and FL is set to detect MIDI track 10 as this, which is pretty weird, but still, this should be like a regular piano roll. Anyway, so yeah, this plays a support melody to the na 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 na. in this final melody. Na, 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 na. So it starts here, and then it's gonna like slowly work its way up until it ends one octave higher. Right? So it's like the ultimate like journey to greatness kind of thing, right? And it ends up on top of the world. And then we have some super sauce, of course. Filling in the spectrum with chords. Again, same chords. There's even some slight voicings here. Na 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 na. But they're like very, very minor. You don't really hear that much in this final song. Then there's the endless smell kicking in, and then it just ends on a like all D, like all just tonic, no thirds, no fifths, no nothing. It's just D. Nah. I believe this is bounced. I had to bounce this, but then for some reason it's like unbounced then. It's basically the same sample just repeated a bunch of times, right? Pitch an octave higher to match the sub. Matching the chords, basically. Dun, dun. And it's the same way it starts, right? And then this is just a bounce Reese. This is all made of samples from Ultranova, I believe. Yep, Ultranova. Because why insert a serum patch and use much more CPU when you can just take the bounced samples that you made for a sample pack and reuse them here? Even the high octave ones. Subtle sample pack promo. I mean, it's sped up the production of this significantly. If I didn't have these sample packs, this would have taken a lot more than 6 months to produce. Yeah, there's some melodies that are gonna reappear in the first drop, so memorize them as well. So there's a few layers to this. I believe, yeah, this is a chime sample from the Color Base Volume 3 Pre-Save sample pack. It's basically this effect called Ejection Power Up. That's what it sounds like, right? But then I used it as like a punch layer. Ba ba ba, right? And then it turns out if I used some different notes, it would make some sort of tonality. Bum bum bum. Right? And then I layered that with the distorted noise from the distorted sine wave plus noise that I use for Superluminal, I believe. So yeah. So now this has all the more punch. That ba ba boom, right? Okay, and then just the sub bass. Autosave, no problem, friend. No. As you can see, if there could have been just a silence there, but why not fill it up with a note? It like fills some space, right? Helps it feel more alive. Na 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 na. Aha! This is fun because I'm using the same two notes in two different keys. None, none. So this. Wait, no, not that. Let's turn on the MIDI piano for this. I might you might lose sight of me as I run to the piano. So those two notes, nan, nan, can work either as the fifth and the tonic. That would just be like a neutral D chord, right? A and D work as the fifth and the tonic of D minor. But A and D also work under E minor. And now they're no longer the fifth and the tonic. The same notes have changed roles. Now it's the fourth and the seventh and the minor seventh. So it's like two different feelings with the same notes just on a different context, right? And then, right? So that's kind of, I use these two notes to set up the like modulation and like do it very easily. Dun, 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 dun. Right. Before we move on to the E minor part, let's break this one down. There's a big Bram. I believe this is also from Ultra, except that I pitched it up. Nah, there it is. All right, there it is. Just to like build up, like revving up, right? No way. And then I bounce this reverb tail. Same thing. Death is not the end again. Because, well, humans are reiterating that indeed death is not the end. Bram being pitched up again. And then some Foley effects. Just to, like, for added cinematic feeling. And then the sapper. Death is not the end. And then this is the exact same thing, which is transposed one whole tone. So this is the exact same thing as this. I just transposed it up from D to E. It's the same thing, but now it has some added teases to the first up, like this thing. Nan 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 nan. Same thing goes for the strings. Yeah, it has like a little tease of the first drop, right? Because that's going to appear in the first drop, as you're going to see later. Same sense, just transposed one whole tone up. Oh yeah, we have woodwinds here too. So we have some flutes, and then I believe some of the drop bus. Yeah. Oh, this bridge isn't so well. So cool. So yeah, it's just like an appetizer of what's to come. Na 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 na. So now instead of the horns going up, na 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 na. Now the horn, the brass feels like it's already done its job, so it's gonna give way to other things. Let's build up, and so it goes away, gives way, and gives the space to the rest of the elements, all the build-up riser effects and all that. Na na na. And there's just like this moment of calm before the storm, right? So we have a pulse stretch drone coming in. I believe this should be a little bit quieter. Very basic. And then that was rough. And then it gets distorted to hell and beyond. Let's check this out. We have a destructor here. As you can see, it turns up, and yeah, it gets real wild. Then there are some phrases from previous ARGs, just as like background filler. See that? They transform us. they rebuild us. This is, I believe, from the NYP6 ARG. So it's like so there's like all sorts of callbacks here. That's a great throwback. Yeah. There's all sorts of callbacks here as well. That's kind of what this is. You are being watched, right? So it's kind of like a reminiscing feeling. Who the F is Modus? Who's that idiot? Never met him, bro. 4 months Prime sub. Congratulations and thank you.
UTF is modus.
UTF is modus. So then I believe I used some glitch 2 to glitch out the piano and bounce it into many different bits, which I just like rearranged however I wanted. See that? And then I also believe I did. Oh, there's a glitch 2 on top of the glitch 2, and then there's 2 delays, 2 separate delays. And EQ. And then that acts as the final like fade in. Calm before the storm, right? And then meanwhile the drop is happening. There's a bit of an arp here. Bum 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 to let you know that the drop's about to get really rhythmic. And teasing of the what's gonna happen in the first drop. Ba-da-bum, ba-ba-dum, ba-bam, which is exactly what's going to happen in the first drop. So I just bounced this entire bus. Ba-da-bum, bam, ba-dum, ba-bam. I sampled this breath from a song by Kill the Noise called Black Magic. And just had this like breath as the pre-drop. So I just like resampled that breath and high-passed it to isolate it. And just like used it because I thought it was a good breath. So yeah. So it's like the humans are... First drop starts, right? They're like gearing up. So yeah, the timing on the sidechain is a little off because I had to turn down the playlist resolution as I told you at the beginning. But yeah, just... bearing that in mind, let's go over the drums first because there's not a whole lot going on. Basically, it's just a kick at the beginning. I believe this is kick 3 from either Hypernova or Ultranova. This is Ultranova kick 3. And there it is. Ultranova in NYP8. Basically, just a kick at the beginning, and then I'm adding some Foley in. And then I'm adding in some hats. I'm gonna layer the hat with the kick here. And then that final snare as the like big break, right? So yeah, there's not a whole lot going on there. So let's switch to the instrumental, which has a lot more going on, and let's turn off the sidechain. All right, there's a bunch to unpack here. I basically took a little bit of inspiration from NYP7, which used actually, I believe it was mostly the same sounds from the same sample pack. So I took most of the same sounds from NYP7 and I decided to like rearrange them to make a different drop out of it. I did make some additions, like for example, this chime sample. I believe this is a series of metallic events, which sounds like this. And the original sample sounds like... So it's much faster, and I had to retime it. And there it is, and I just re-chopped it around. And then there's another chime thing. Okay, ba-bam-bam. So this is like a slightly lower layer to it. There it is. Yeah, it's the metallic sounds from Cloud Factory. And then this is, I believe, the side bass from Prism. It's basically, so I made this variation of the patch for NYPA, but this is mostly the same Serum preset that I used all the way back in 2019 in Prism that collab with Sharks. Bum bum ba bum ba bum. Bass Beast, you're now human. Gotta love those new alerts. Ba ba bum ba bum. It's a very basic like psytrance-y house feel, and then there's some more fillers. Right? And then there's the actual like cyberpunk stabs. I believe these come from a contact, like mainly contact pack, but also came with rendered samples. All right, so the original sample was this. If you want to know the pack, this is Izer X Hybrid Cyberpunk Trailer Toolkit, which is pretty cool for like film sounding thing, cyberpunk feel. And I just repitched it, retimed it so it would match my my tempo of 122. And then I have some like high pitched things as well. And this is a different sample from the same pack. The original sounds like this. Very like Cyberpunk 2077, right? But I just used it, whatever. And there it is. And then I use some more. This is from this. Bass Cyberpunk trailer type beat. This is, I believe, from Ultranova as well. In fact, I believe that it's the same sample as in this buildup. Yeah, so it's just that I just used the first one, the first bass stab, and just looped that first bass stab around. So this is the actual like full sample. I EQ'd it in a different way. I added some disperser. And there it is. And when you put everything together, I had to work a lot with the metronome because there's like so many like gaps and offbeats that at some points I couldn't tell if I was on the downbeat or not. So I had to work with the metronome quite a bit. But once it was all said and done, yeah. Okay, this first filler bass is just a reverse Bram from Ava Instinct. Hear it? Hear it? Hear it? No, it's not hear it. So this is actually in reverse. The original sample is this. Again, repitched, reversed, and there it is. And then a Reese, and one more of the Izer X Cyberpunk Toolkit things. And then the finalized thing with the 808, because I actually used an 808 as a sub for this one. Because it just sounded exactly the way that I liked it, and said, you know, instead of trying to recreate the patch and just throw that 808 in there. And just worked. I did some volume automation to it. Ba-ba-bum, ba-ba-bum, ba-bum. So it sounded like gated. And that's it. All right, this second part. Now this has a little bit more like color-based thing. As you can see, now it has like a morphed chord thing. This is not my final stream. This is my first stream of 2023. Yeah, I've been streaming for almost 5 years now. I don't know when I'm gonna stop, but yeah, for now it keeps going, bro. So yeah, that Reese again being faded in, and this is just like a reverb leftover. Let's see, let's hear it. There it is. And so yeah. break the cycle. I made sure to sync up these vocals.
Break the cycle. Break the cycle.
You've heard the sample so many times in previous Modus songs.
Break the cycle.
So you knew I was gonna use it.
Break the cycle.
So yeah, legendary bass. Yeah, this one actually comes from Bejeweled Twist. That's the full thing, and I just took the. So yeah, that's this is like a library of ripped Bejeweled Twist instruments from the tracker files that I managed to get. So yeah, break the cycle. So it's just like a break. Break the cycle. There's a sub drop. Oh, so cinematic. And then the same zoinks as in the verse build-up thing. Now I just have a reverse one going on. And I just made like a downward action. Ba-bom, ba-bom, ba-bom. And that's it. And that's what when you put it together with the drums, of course. And I used some rides to get back into the groove. Bam, bam, boom, ba. 1, 2, 3, 4. Sidechain, please. Now the only difference is that I added in the hats and I added some zappers. Pew, pew. There it is. And then I did add some more fillers like that. Na na na, which again is also in the verse. Na na na. So again, call and response, setup and payoff. Call it however you want. And then that like beep motif. Nan, 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 nan. And then this ends up, that B with the F major, this actually turns out to be a tritone. So it's an excellent like hanging chord. Na, na. Okay, that's a bit of a stretch. There we go. So we have that nan dang and the bleep bloops as well. And I have another sample here. Okay, that's just because I liked it. There's a orchestra mega choir. This is basically a choir and some brass. And then I added another bram because yes, which I believe it should be automated in some kind of way, but I just know that it's there. Squelch. Autosave, bro. So it's like a squelch growl. This is actually being auto-panned, as you can see here. It's just that the frame rate of the plugin kind of tanks. Because there's just so much going on. Sounds like when you drink soda. So yeah, it's this chord with that B. Okay, there's a few synths going on here. I believe this is also an Ultra Nova sample. Yeah, that's going to be featured in a future song. So this sample actually comes from a song that I teased in this year's ARG. So one of the ID sneak peeks is a song that where this sample comes from. So yeah, I'm using the samples from the ID sneak peeks in NYP8. It's all connected. I also used a stab from No Return Reboot. So yeah. And then I used that nasty ass Reese. Bow, bow, bow. And then the big sub just doing a glide down. Pew, pew, pew. And then of course we have a crash and then with the rides in there. Bum, 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 doing that 1, 2, 3. So marking the rhythm really. Na 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 na. Remember that? Na 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 na. Aha! Now things have come full circle. Okay, so now we have this. I rendered out this whole drop bus and I made it like so I made it twice as slow. I warped it in time so it would play much slower. Right. There it is. And I believe I also frequency shifted this. Yeah, there it is. And there's this. This is also from Ultranova, I believe, in Harmonic Bonanza. Yep, there it is. Lots of Ultranova in here. Really helped speed up the production in this. And then some more bits. Just like some random things. So, I believe this is a cork from like a wine bottle being popped, and then I added a bunch of like disperse and compression and EQing to it, so I made it sound completely different. So it technically comes from a cork popping, but yeah, it sounds nothing like it by now. just know that. There's a reverse zap, and of course a Prado snare here. Ba-ba! And there's this reverse fill doing the whoop-pa. Okay. Dun dun. Ba-bang. Na 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 na. I did have to chop this around so it would like to time it better. So on its own, it sounds kind of weird, but like when you play it with the context of the song, it doesn't matter. It sounds fine. So yeah, this is just some variations in production. I basically took this and I went like right, and then I switched some things around, added the orchestras and the horns on top. And then there's this noise downlifter, which I believe I took inspiration from this from a Skrillex song, which was actually not a Skrillex song. It's from Dog Blood, which Skrillex is in. It was like a 4-person like thing, and then there was Skrillex in it. Anyway, it's a song from Dog Blood, and it's called "Turn Off the Lights." And in the second drop, there was this like downlifter that wasn't really like noise. It was just like a very narrow like tonal thing going like, right? This. Turn off the lights. Okay, so I basically took this noise downlifter, right? And I isolated, or rather I really accentuated this one frequency in here. See that? And then I OTT'd it, because of course I OTT'd it. Skrillex and voice noise, there it is. Yeah, I wish I could do okay. I knew I was onto something. Okay, what next? I mean, they're pretty similar names. So yeah, no wonder why you mistook the two. So yeah, it's just that one note. Oh, I don't know how to do it really, but yeah, just know that that's in there. Buildup. I basically bounced this entire bus so I could do a pitch shift. See this knob going up. Right? And I believe this is this, but with a glitch too. And I bounced it again, and I put it below that. So it's... So it would sound a little bit more glitched out, right? And then I did this nun, nun, nun. Because that's exactly what's gonna happen later. Which is... So I'm kind of like setting that up already. So I did this. And then I took the same sample, just one octave higher. Because I could. Oh. Ah, great. Such a great sample. Chime, shout out. Without you, NYP8 would not have been possible. Shout out to Chime. Awesome person. All right, and then there's this break. It's actually being panned around from side to side. So it's the same as break the cycle here. I'm just looping it all and all. Rise to like rise tension, help build up some hype, build up some tension. And then there's a siren, of course. And while the sirens and the top instruments are going up, once again, the sub drop is going down. So the whole thing feels like it's opening up, branching out, expanding outward. So you've got the sub going down on one hand, and all the like higher end things are going just further up the spectrum. So it's like carving out, like, you know, one thing's going down, the other thing's going up. Let's see. Bow, bow, bow. And I took this from NYP7, and I gated it. I believe, yeah. There's the filter, and it's doing dun 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 dun. Let's see. There it is. So without the filter, this is a swell that was featured in at the end of the NYP7 first drop, I think it was. And I believe I just did like a massive reverb tail on it, and I bounced it and I reversed it. Very typical stuff from me. I do that a lot. So yeah, that was indeed taken from NYP7, and I just gated it a little bit more, so it sounded like dun 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 dun. So it's kind of like a flashback, right, in a way. Reminiscing the past, but also giving way to the future. Again, as a sort of introduction, ba 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 bum, right? And then the cinematic part starts. Na 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 na. So now we move from the beeps motif, which was kind of like the motif of startup, the leitmotif of the beginnings, right? Now we move on to some more serious stuff. The motif from the humans is basically this, na 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 na, in this song in particular. With the flutes supporting it, the brass as well. And some horns, and that is and that is also supported by like three major dun 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 for added like boss battle sound effect thing. This whole thing, the NYP8 song and countdown converges the present, past, and future. The reason why I mentioned that is because in the countdown ARG chapter 4, which is the event that preceded the world premiere of NYP8, at the very end of the countdown, when the countdown has like a minute and a half left, this thing happens in the video where as the music is playing, every 2 bars, it switches to visuals from a newer protocol. So it starts with the visuals from NYP9, from... Why did I say NYP9? It starts with the visuals from NYP1, from 2, and then it goes to 3, and then it shows the visuals for 4, 5, 6, and then finally 7. So it's like the past is flashing, is flashing before you, right? But then also you're about to experience NYP8. So it's like the past, the present, and the future are all becoming one, and they're converging. All the timelines are converging, right? Like that's how much power all these entities have. The power to converge timelines into one, right? To bend time. It's just... So we have an A version of the motif and a B version. And then so we have na 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 na. So it's like the call and then the response. And then I'm using these three chords to do something different. Dun, dun, dun. So I'm not going down, up, center, right? Anyway, let's get into these patterns. We have a string repetition pattern. It's basically that. I play it and it's just a string that repeats. I have it set to repeat on 16th notes, I believe, or on 8th notes. Can't quite remember. I think it's 16ths. And I have it set to multiple octaves. I have one here, one in a different patch. Super dominant into supertonic. So this is a 6-2-1 cadence. Dun, 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 right? Which, by the way, is the same cadence at the end of right after the first drop in NYP7. There's exactly this cadence, this 6-2-1. The low brass is doing na na na. So I decided to reprise that in a slightly different form with the strings here. Dun 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 dun. dun. So it does the same chords. Na 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 na. How do you come up with this idea? I don't know. They just like happen. I'll be on the shower one morning and just go like, let's do that. I can't really explain the process by which I get ideas. There's not really like something that I do to get ideas. They just sort of come and happen. And then on top of these chords, I did some voicings for the melody. Dun 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 dun. And then it's slowing down, right? We have the strings, we have the woodwinds to support it. As you can see, at a solid 100 and working close enough. Yep, it's close enough. I'm gonna take it, you know. Then we have the choir. Basically, just doing that. This is actually east-west, I believe. The strings. Yeah, let's open some contacts in here. This is gonna take a minute. Oh yeah, look at that. There's no way. How can this computer keep this together? There's no way. there's no way the stream is still going. What? How is this still going? Anyway, strings. There's a bunch of strings going on here. Please go away, you close help bubble. Oh, okay, it won't close anywhere. That's how messed up this is from like so much RAM usage. Anyway, this is Spitfire Albion, I believe. Yeah, it's Albion 1, which has like a little bit of everything. And then there's some native instruments, string ensemble. So yeah, there's like 3 or 4 different kinds of string libraries here because each has a different sound and they can each be used in a different scenario. Maybe one will have better quiet samples, and then one will have better better sounding forte samples, so the like strong samples. Then there's the horns here. I believe this is Heaviosity Forzo. Let's have a look at the strings here. As you can see, it's mostly Spitfire Albion, a little bit of native instruments. And then there's probably some Metropolis Arc in another contact. I have like 3 or 4 contacts in here. Let's see. Somewhere in there, I have them, okay? Just know that. So yeah, we have the choir doing the same thing. There's, I believe, a Metropolis Arc, but then the most important part is the East West Play, not this one. This has the timpani, one choir preset, the tubular bells, which will be used later on, and some of the staccato horns, which sounded better here in my opinion. This is the choir world builder. This is a very cool thing to have because it's a choir library like any other, but it allows you to literally write what you want the choir to sing. You can write your own syllables. You can, if you wanted to sing a particular piece with lyrics, you could do it. You could just write down all the syllables, and on each note change, it will change. So this is what it has by default. So I kept it here because I didn't think I needed to change. But there was the option if I ever needed to change to like a different phoneme or have it sing something else. So there's that and a Metropolis Arc doing a Marcato preset, I think it is. Low choirs. And this was bounced for some reason. Maybe yeah, okay. I think it's because I needed it to be louder. Because it's like much louder. And that's quieter. And then tempo's going down. Okay. Brass. Basically just that. Low brass. There's like a tuba, a trombone, a French horn, and then a trumpet. It's the whole ensemble. And I even did some like some add-ons here. Na 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 na. Na 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 na. Right? I've come to a point where like I don't feel like I need to constrain myself to like an hour 30 or something, because I feel like if I do, I'm gonna have to gloss over so many details, and I don't want that. I want you guys to get the full picture of what's going on, so that maybe you can learn something and apply it in your productions. So yeah, we basically just have there's this rule in film scoring that when you want something to sound like really large, very strong, you just have every instrument in the orchestra play it. The strings, the woodwinds, the choir, the brass, and some more brass. And yeah, that's how you make things sound large, by having everything play the same line. All right, let's look some more at some of the effects. Obviously, we have a drone. How long does this take to make? Around 6 months. And then the latter 6 months of last year, I dedicated to the whole like video material. This basically took the whole project, the song and the ARG soundtrack, the visuals, rendering everything. It took around 11 months total to make. So there's the drone, not a whole lot more to see there. The very quick steps. And that's about it. There's some synthesized sounds that I believe are from Boom Library. Basically like a transformer-like sound from a sci-fi library called, I don't know. Boom Library Sci-Fi Construction Kit. There it is. And there's a riser here. I believe I also used this riser in the pre-drop to termination in NYP7. So yeah, everything is connected. My god, why use samples? Dude, the entire first drop is pretty much samples. You just don't know because they're used in such a way that you don't really, you wouldn't really think of it as samples. Using samples intelligently is the name of the game. Also, a sample that I used in WP7, I believe, in the build-up to termination. So this is like a reminiscence to that. And once again, the choir and this riser is going up, but the sub bass is going down. So it's like going both ways, right? Tasty sub drop. Weirdest sample I've heard in all this. Metropolis Arc, I believe, has some like choir FX sounds, and I believe there's a contact library called Mysteria, which also does like these like weird choir effects. They can be useful sometimes, like here. No, it's a lost cause. Okay, don't even attempt. It's basically the same, but just it's things are like slowing down, and there's more of the same samples, but then there's also some different things like these like magic effects. This is from a pack called Magic Arcane, also from Boom Library. So these effects are made for use in like films as like sound effects for films, but if I use these in NYP8, it will help it feel more film-like, more cinematic. So in they go. Right? And there was actually one more unused vocal here. You do not belong in this universe. But not only was it a little bit unintelligible, it was like hard to make out what it was saying, but I just didn't really think it was needed, right? So I just ended up not using it. And it's there, it's just muted. More magic film sound effects. And as for the drums, they're basically just hit samples. Bam, bam, bam. And then there's some damage involved as well. This is all like manually plugged in. Slightly different mallet samples in there. And then there's a tuned timpani. Is it? And this one is from East West Play. There is timpani hits. Yeah, very orchestral sounding percussion because it is a timpani after all. And yeah, it has both like roll variations, so it can do hits, bum. It can do rolls, wrong, and it can do sustained rolls like brrr, right. And that's it. And then there's just like a very blatant modulation here. It's just na na na, and it just kind of happens. Na 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 na. It works, and it set me up. It set up the next drop because the next drop is in E flat. So yeah. And this is basically the same cadence as this. Na 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 na. So it's the same, but now it's one semitone lower. Na na. It's just that the stabs I made them offbeat instead to add a little bit of variation. So it's like dun 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 dun, right? Na 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 na. Some Foley effects. Some basses that I resampled from East West. There's basically this pack, I believe it's called Film Scoring Adventures, which has like some like pre-made pieces that you can use. And then what I did is I took the most ambient pieces of that and I bounced them and I used maybe just one note of it because I just thought it sounded cool. And then there's this. It's basically just like a string bass, but then this has a little bit more going on. And yeah, some magic effects as well. Delay, again, more pulse switch tones. This is basically the same concept as the first buildup. Has the pulse switch tone coming in, and then dun dun dun. It's basically the same thing as how the first drop comes in, just slightly slowed down, right? And then some more Foleys. I bounced a bunch of stuff. This is, I call this Sydney Bridge, but it's basically just a bounce from a film scoring song that I made some time ago. And I just resampled the brass buildup of it, right? Death is not the end. Slow down, pitch down. Death is not the end. There's, I believe this is a bounce sample from somewhere before in the track. And I just, I stretched it so it would be longer. Stretch Pro. First use of Stretch Pro in NYP8. Made a song with Chad. Great. We also do production usually. It's just that since I released a new song, we're doing a project breakdown. So yeah. Death is not the end. We continue. Zapper. Da na 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 na. Which, by the way, same ARP as this. It's just an octave even lower and slower. So yeah. Na 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 na. So these strings, they start filtered in. Dun 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 dun, and they will eventually see how they start high passed, and then that filter will eventually settle itself down. So the strings are gonna like sound like it's opening up, right? Dun, na, 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 na. And then there's some more speech. The creator wanted us to know that death is not the end. Some more of the first drop's bus, just repitched and retimed to fit this second section. And then much of the same effects really as the first drop. Bing bong, which again is the same like the percussion sounds as the intro. And then we also have the same background bleeps. Remember how I said store it in your brain. Na 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 na. But that's even that. It's this isn't even the last time that it appears. So so keep this in your memory further. Like just don't forget about it now. Still, it should remain in your memory. Now it's different notes because we're on different keys, so I have to repitch. I have to transpose everything, right? Na na. First drop. So now it's just a slightly more minimal. Ba, 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 bang, which that's in the drums bus, which is muted. So this is actually the same fill as the cinematic part of the first drop. It starts the same way. Ba 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 bang. But now it starts like this. There it is. Ba 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 bang, right? Same thing. So we are reusing many of the same elements. So it's like there's a certain pool of sounds, and that pool of sounds is used all across the song, each time in different ways under a different context. So it's not like this is a totally new section, right? Break the exact same thing as the end of the first drop, right? We're reusing like 90% of the samples stay the same throughout the whole song. And then we tease the sounds from the second drop. And then there's a second layer to this, just to add some more punch, right? And then this happens as the strings is accompanying this stab. There's that endless smile on the master, I think it is. Yeah, there's an endless smile here on the most extreme preset. And then I'm fading in the mix level of it. And there it is. That's how I make things sound a little bit more, have a little bit more tension, right? Then I have some more resets, the same siren as before, the same sub as before. Now I just have some build-up drums. Same Prada snare. And now I had this bounced where as the instruments build up and like get high pass in this endless smell preset, the drums are taking that low end. So when we enable this, and we enable this as well, right? So the instrumental is slowly fading out and giving way to the drums. Dun, dun. Same beeps motif from before, just slightly frequency shifted and just on a lower octave. Searching. So now the humans are gonna dive straight into the protocol's memory and try to extract as much data as possible, because that will be useful for them, right? Okay, sidechain is on. I can play this. As you can see, the sidechain is a little bit off because of what I told you about the playlist resolution thing, but yeah. Dun 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 dun. So I could have just done this. None, none. But by having a slight introduction to it, da 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 dun, it makes it feel like it makes it feel more tightly integrated, right? Less of a just sudden change. Ba-ba-ba-bang. So it's like it comes in from somewhere as opposed to just dropping in, right? It's like slowly coming in. Da-da-da-dun, dun. Okay, let's break down this main sound for the second drop. I bounced this, but this is a preset from Vital. I don't know if I still have the plugin in there, but I do have the patch. So I'm just gonna open Vital real quick and just show you the preset. Let's see, Vital. I have no idea how this computer is even holding up. I just did I download more RAM before the stream? there's no way this is still going. Anyway, we're just gonna keep rolling with it as long as it works. Let's see. I think it was Inharmonic Generator. I think it was. No, that wasn't it. Core Data Mine. Okay. Okay, so basically what's going on here, it's just a series of oscillators. And then I have an LFO with the stereo knob turned up. And what that does is it makes the left channel and the right channel, it displaces the LFO in time for the left and the right channel. So the LFO on the left channel is at one point in time, and on the right channel, it's slightly ahead or slightly early. So without the stereo, okay, that's the first oscillator. As you can see, there's like a green ball and then a blue ball that follows it. I said blue ball. Anyway, so there's like this green point that's ahead. I believe that's the left channel. And then the blue point that follows it shortly before, that's the right channel. So it's like they have slightly different timings, and that's what makes this like stereo feeling, right? That's without the stereo. That's how the first one sounds. And then I have a slightly shifted one, right? Which is with the stereo turned up. So let's turn the stereo back on. I think it was 0.125. And that's how you get the second variation. So now that's oscillator A. Now here's oscillator B. And there's oscillator 3. All three together. Then you distort it, you compress it a bunch, which is pretty much what I did here. Yeah, there's a chorus, a transient processor, OTT. Okay, let's go through that, but first I'm gonna remove the vital just in case. Okay, there we go. So now we play this without any effects. Let me see. Without any effects, it sounds like this. So I'm gonna add a chorus to it, or add a like pseudo stereo effect, a transient processor to accentuate the attack, the like punch, the transient at the beginning. Right? And of course an OTT. That's what like really beefs it up, right? Then there's an all pass phase for that like bubbly disperser sound. And then an EQ. Slight air boost, and I get rid of the bass because there's already a sub bass here. So why have two sub basses? Right? And then there's a second punch layer to this. There it is. And then the drums are just simple. Some hat loops, and then the same kick from the first drop, and then this snare is from Caval, actually. Caval snare tonal. This is also from Color Bass Volume 3 pre-save pack, and I resampled it a little bit. The original one sounds like this. Sounds much, much higher, but I repitched it down. I was actually able to use it as a snare for the second drop here. And I did add some highs with some white noise layer, I think it is. Oh, look at that. So I layered the snare with this to add some more like high into it. And there it is. Crashes. Crashes. Bum, bum. Right? Same no return reboot stab. Dun, dun. The same cyberpunk stabs from the first drop. Same Reese's and everything. Now, the samples are the same. The chord is different. So here, in the first drop, this is an F major. This is a supertonic, a 2 chord, right? And then this is a super dominant instead of a supertonic, so it's a 6 instead. So instead of doing nang, nang, now it's doing nang, nang. So it's like going down, which means we're descending down into hell. We're getting evil. We're getting twisted. This drop sounds evil, right? this drop just sounds like I'm gonna right? Right? I'm going to crush the protocol to pieces. And yeah, that's kind of what this drop was made out to be, just evil and this twisted sound to it. Zapper, obligatory zapper. Of course, we have some reverb as well throughout the whole track. There's some reverb swells fade in to help fill in some space. Same thing here. Na 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 na. And then here, for filler, I could have just done this. But it didn't sound very interesting. So instead, I added this extra bleep. Ta-dum! Just, yeah. It made it sound extra evil. Like, not only are we starting up the death machine, we will kick it into overdrive, right? We are turning the war machine up to 11. Right? Exact same thing as this. Dun dun dun. Na 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 na. But now it has some more electronic elements going on. No, not that. This one. Na 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 na. Dun dun dun. It's the same thing, just has some more growls. So. Then it has the same growl. But now it has the brass. Well, no, not really, actually. It just has the strings. And then it has just the horns. So the strings do the call, horns do the response. So there it is. And here I did a little bit of an offbeat. I realized that when I did this, dun dun dun. Instead, if I moved this a tiny bit, right? It made for a really cool offbeat rhythm. Du-dun, 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 right? And that's basically what I decided to do here. Du-dun, du-dun, du-dun. Can't talk. Remember that? It's because we used it before. Dun, 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 dun. It was teased all the way back in the second build-up, and now it's reappearing here. Dun, 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 dun. And this is just like a big setup, has lots of effects. Let's see. Has a tape stop that I had to bounce. And then some magic effects. Some like just magic power lightning laser. Just I'm imagining this like fight in my head. And it's just like part song, part movie, right? Part boss fight. And then at the same time, there's these dialogues from the humans. You do not belong in this world. There it is. Dun, dun, dun. The choirs are moving in, tension. Calm before the storm. We know the storm is coming. The storm is coming. Add the sidechain in. Agent Snare. Hey, Agent, if you're watching this on YouTube, just know, I used your snare again. And by again, I mean I used it in the second drop of NYP7 last year, and now it's here. Again because it makes for a great, just like very heavy pan snare for like death step kind of feel. and this being a like slow halftime section, bomb, right? It makes so much sense. Bah, bah, bah. It makes so much sense. How did you make those very mechanical vocals? This is just a choir library from Metropolis Arc, I believe. It's a contact library called Metropolis Arc. Let's see if I can find the patch here. Orchestral contacts. Horns, choir, and staccatos. This is probably it. There it is. And I had the top voice, the women actually going nan 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 nan, but the low voice, the men are actually going up in bass. Dun dun dun. There's just so much more tension that way. Okay, so you mean the Vocodex vocals? There's actually a tutorial on this on my YouTube channel. It's pretty old. It's from like I think 2018. It's called Make Futuristic Vocals with Vocodex in 8 minutes or something like that. It's basically there's a like 5-channel Vocodex setup that I have, and then I believe on top of that, on top of what I show in the video, I added an instance of Manipulator. Here it is. Manipulator is basically like a really cool software. It's a really cool VST to like warp the vocals, make it feel like very computer-like, very mechanical, and they just make for that like cool sound. And then I frequency shifted them as well, I believe, and I OTT'd them so it sounded like really beefed up. And then I have a filter opening up. Right? Thanks for the link, Nathan. And there it is. Okay, this is very important because this is going to appear later as well. There's this motif that starts to get teased here. It goes like dun 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 dun. Same notes from the previous Humans motif, but now the bass is also changing. So as opposed to here, where it was just the top voice doing the na 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 na, and the bass just stayed a constant E. Right now, the bass is also moving with the top voice, so it makes it feel that much more like unstable evil, right? That was a voice crack. Favorite sound of the entire song right there. We will get to that. So yeah, it's the same melody, just the bass line is also changing, right? Now we have this. Dun, dun, dun. There's a bunch of layers. There's a bram. And there's this. Na, that gives a very like cool like fifth on top. Na, 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 na. We have a low res, a middle res, and a high res. So we have 3 octaves of res here. And then we have that ending. Dun, 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 right? Na, na. I had to bounce this because there was a bunch of automation going on, but basically the end result was this. 5-star sample right there. Top 10 out of 10 sample. Dun, dun, da, 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 dun. And there it is. Yeah, and then there's an octave rip I think here. Rung, dun, rung. Very, very cinematic sound there. Dun, rung. Na, na, na. So now we have a slight variation Now, now it doesn't just end on a downward path. Na 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 na. It goes down, but now it also goes up. Na 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 na. And then the choir joins the rheses. Na na na. Right? This plug is excellent. It like sounds, because it has this like vibrato feeling where the pitch kind of like wobbles. It sounds kind of human, but at the same time, it sounds very machine-like. It sounds very, very minimal, and it just adds this like super mysterious aura to this whole thing. We have an old-fashioned tritone here. Dun 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 dun. That's just a tritone, E flat and A. So we have just the highest possible octave I could find on the strings. Na 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 na, and then just added that as a sort of like hanging chord, as a cliffhanger. That's the word. So I could set up the long-ass build-up for the final drop in a way, because it's not really a drop, it's like an orchestral coda, but still. And then the choir does the same thing as the strings, pretty much. So there's this super dissonant chord. And yeah, there it is. Let me see, this plays this whole thing in full. And then there's this bram that joins. Or like just more powerful bass. And then just pause, right? Just hangs there until the next part. And we have some hits to accentuate that. Right? And some crashes as well to help with that. Damage as well. And then the timpani. All right, there's it. Glitches. Okay, this is it. Na 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 na. Remember that at the beginning we were doing this na 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 na, the sound in there. Here. That's it. So now that we're in the whole like pause feeling to it, hold on. We are here, which is na na. It's like going back to the past and gathering energy from where there's none, basically. This is also from that East-West pack that I mentioned before, Film Scoring Adventures, I think it's called. It has some really cool dissonant chords. And it has like a clarinet there. It has like a C sharp major over C, which is very, very, it sounds kind of hopeful, but at the same time, it sounds like just not really stable, right? It's like things are hanging in the balance. Things are hanging by a thread. And then while all of this is going, we have dun dun, as in like, there is still some, there's still a heartbeat, right? Your kind must not endure. This is just the protocol rambling on about how humans should not be meddling with the protocol's affairs. But the humans don't care. They want peace. They want the truth. Your kind must not. So this is the protocol's last-ditch attempt at trying to convince the humans not to interfere. But obviously, as we know, it's futile. Your kind knows only war. So like, humans are very dangerous beings and that they're inherently made for war, for conflict. You guys have so many conflicts already in between. You guys can't agree for shit on things. You have destroyed your own civilization and like, that kind of social commentary thing. Suffering upon itself. And then there's these beautiful chords. There's this table game. No, it's not. It's not actually called a table game in English. It's called a board game. There's this Indiana Jones board game that has like this really cool, like very quiet soundtrack that has like these flutes. Na, na, na. And then I took some inspiration from that because I have the board game at home, and basically the board game has a DVD with it. That's the point. And the DVD has like it comes with like the interactive game which you can play with the board. You use like the DVD to guide yourself through the board game, and then it has this like soundtrack in the background, and I really enjoyed that, and so I took some inspiration from that. And there it is. So it's just like really, really quiet. It has a legato string. Very, very, very quiet. So we are doing A minor, F minor, A minor again into B major. Without a bass, so it's just like high layers. There's this string flageolet, which is basically this like really quiet vibrato layer to it. And then there's these like wind flutes. And some horns as well. Very, very quiet as well. Super quiet. And then this is all happening as the protocol is saying, how is that balance? So much bass. So it's like, humans are terrible at peace. You have destroyed your own civilization, and you are made for nothing but conflict. You know nothing but war. How is that balance? But it turns out that the humans have learned from this. We are the humans. You know nothing about suffering. And that's when the whole thing just really tenses up. But before that, there's this variation on this theme. Na, na. No vocals, please. Na, na. Na, na. And then there's this slightly more tense variation. Na, na, na. Has some choir building up in there. As you can see, the pattern clip automations to build up the velocity and contact. Makes a lot of sense to use it this way. We are doing feedback. The thing is, this is a very, very long track. It's like 8 minutes. So we are spending a lot more time than usual in the breakdown. So it might be that at the end, we might just do like 5 tracks of feedback, and then I'll just call off the stream because we don't really have any more time. I'm sorry if this is gonna be a very reduced, a very light version of feedback hour, but don't worry because next week we will be going back with a 15 track tally and like all that. So don't worry. Vision K, they literally say we are the humans. The protocol is an AI, dude. You don't got feelings. You know nothing about suffering. But do you want to know? about suffering. And there it is. This is actually a cut down version of the NYP4 motif. Na 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 na. This is just like a simplified version. So yeah, just know there's a little bit of a callback there. So yeah, it's just like the strings start building up. And then the horns. Doing a crescendo in there. And then there's a separate pattern for the low brass. And then the choir. And there it is. There's a timpani and the crash. And there it is. Remember this? Na na na. From here. Na na na. So now it's here. And I called this the gatekeeper's motif. At least in this song in particular, this is the gatekeeper's motif. This orchestral part helps set up the transition to going fully orchestral for the last two NYPs. Yeah, this is like this part cements the transition. It like really establishes it. It sets it up for the last two NYPs, which are going to be fully orchestral. Na 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 na. There are some really cool modulations in there, so I will play this first, and then we'll go through it. I'm so proud of this section. I'm so happy with this. Okay, let's break that down. For this, I'm not one to use the piano, so let's see. Na na na. So first we run into that motif, right? It'll be great if you didn't high pass this. So please, let's see. There we go. So first we've got that. And then I had this melody in mind. And then, as you can see, the same phrase repeats twice, right? Na 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 na. I could have done the same chord twice, but instead of that, I did that. Let's see. Right? And then I did this. So I did C A, and then I did C A flat to vary on that. So this C that we're landing on acts as a minor third first, and then as a major third. So right, that's such a different feeling. This is actually not a Roland piano. This is not how that piano actually sounds. It's just that I'm routing the MIDI through addictive keys. So this is actually addictive keys playing. This one sounds a little bit less interesting. So it's same notes, different chords for a different feel, and well, for variation purposes. Na 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 na. The same melody twice with a different chord. So, And then for some fillers, I did some trumpets in there. No, 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 no. You can tell I listened to a lot of like Star Wars, Marvel soundtracks. I took a lot of inspiration from those. This didn't really come just out of the water. I really had to like research and like take a lot of like cinematic songs in, like really study a lot of like film score arrangement. And, like I had to listen to research, find a lot of songs to listen to it and go through so I could make this. So there's the strings here. So now you might be noticing that I've switched from doing this, from doing just a standard E minor chord to doing C minor over E. Right? So at first it's that standard E minor, na, na, na. But then it's like C over E, right? And then there's this harp as a filler. Beautiful. There's the woodwinds, which basically just play support for the strings to accentuate the strings. Basically, that's it. Then the brass, the high brass. I had some of the trumpets going on here. I got this idea from the Matrix soundtracks. Don Davis did this a lot, and I really like the Matrix soundtrack. So I took some inspiration from that, and I did some of the like recurring trumpets getting faster and faster. If you've ever watched the Matrix Revolutions, the third one, there's a lot of that in there. Then there's the French horns, I think it is. Ah, here's a little thing. This is the motif from the very first NYP. Na 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 na. You might remember that the first NYP would like no 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 no. Oh no, not NYP 1. This is NYP 4. Na 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 na. So this is just I transposed that to G. So there it is. Na 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 na. And here I did a small variation on the Vita Mori phrase from NYP 6. You might recall that Vita Mori would basically like minor, major, dissonant, major. So it's like that's Vita Mori, right? And then in NYP 7 I did another variation, which is Vita Mori, right? And then I just did this. Na 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 na. So Vita Mori. It's actually even indicated there with the marker. And yeah, there it is. And then there's a bunch of like effects going on. This one's really fun. I'm gonna get to that. Basically just some bass supports, some more magic effects. Gatekeeper sound effects getting ready to fire. And this one's guess where I got this from? This sample is called Thor Hammer Throw for a reason. There's at the end of Infinity War, there's the scene where Thanos now has all the 6 stones. all the 6 Infinity Stones, and then Thor comes in and like throws Stormbreaker, the like new hammer that he makes, the axe. He throws the axe at Thanos, and Thanos is gonna try to counteract that force, but the axe just keeps coming in, and it ends up piercing him, right? And it makes this sound. So yeah, you could say I literally straight up ripped this from Infinity War, but it made for such a sick effect. So. And this all plays while there's these hanging chords. Yeah, that part, the You Sure Got Full Head scene. So the bass is gonna play na. So let's go to the low brass. It's a chromatic movement down. Na, which is the eventual destination for this phrase. It ends in a C major. So it does supertonic, flat supertonic. So it goes like 2, flat 2, 1, na, right? Super tense. And this all resolves in that C major. Na. So it has that same na. But now it resolves into major. Na. By the way, same motif. You might recall here at the end, there's this thing. No, not that. This one. Na. The brass does that. Well, then that phrase returns here. Na. Na. So it's like all sorts of melody cells are being repeated from time to time. I'm taking them and I'm just like rearranging them however I see fit. Na. So it actually ends, we start with a minor, and then we end on the same notes, but the context has changed. Now it's a C major. Right, so we end on that major ground. Na. Remember that motif is the same one from the intro here. Na. Now it's just here again. It's like the theme of completeness, of like reaching the end. I don't know. That's just a large build-up chord. It starts really strong, then goes down, and then there's a final, and then there's a crescendo at the end. Final rise, the crescendo, then just silence. And from here on out, the song itself has ended. Now it's just like movie, like short film sound effect post-production. So basically, I just pictured what you see in the animation video, just the 2 hands, they come in and the humans appear, and then they try to deal for the first time, as I mentioned at the beginning, the final blow. So they like start to crush the protocol with this like lightning force. And I wanted to put that into sound. Bam, bam. So it's like one hand, the other hand, right? To be honest, I feel like this is a missed opportunity because I could have panned one hand to one side and another hand to another side, but I just did both in the center. Missed opportunity. Bam, bam, right? You get ready, they charge up for the final blow. And then, you might recall that at the very beginning of the track, you went infiltration, termination, uprising. The 4th one left. Guess what it is? And then the crush starts. Okay, there's a bunch of things going on. Disclaimer, I sampled a bunch of Star Wars sounds. Here's the sound for, I believe, the seismic charge in Star Wars 2. I believe it was Attack of the Clones, I think it was. The original sounds like this, right? I just repitched it down quite a bunch. I added a bunch of bass, OTT, and all-pass phase, and a destructor I'm seeing here, and a bit of soothe to smooth out some of the mid-end here. Yeah, a little bit of everything, really. And then the all-pass phase and a bit of shaping there. Just so much bass, right? And I use some more explosion sounds. Right, the main like blast. A flanged explosion. I use some lighting as well. This is just, I looked up on YouTube storm, lightning storm sounds, and I just downloaded the first result. And that's it. This is a very common sound that I find being used quite a bit in like movies and like TV series. There's just it's kind of like the Wilhelm scream in that it gets used a lot for no reason, and this is just kind of one of those sounds that just gets used everywhere. And so I thought, okay, let's join the craze. Let's join the bandwagon. There it is. Some more electricity sounds. Once again, another sound that gets used a lot, like for electricity effects in movies. Another seismic shock thing. Some more magic effects from that Boom Liberty pack that I mentioned. And then some more flanged explosions. Very, very Star Wars sounding. Then there's a sub drop. Bah, right? More magic sounds. And then there's more like Star Wars sounds. I believe there's a pack in here that I have. I don't know where I got this from. It's called Star Wars Ultimate Sound Effects like pack or collection. And it has like so many things from like all the Star Wars movies, right? And has so many like impacts and like things. So I just used them in there. Some low rumble, right? And then some like Sith lightning loop. And then done to match this. And then an ion cannon here. And then for added noise impact, a crash. That's just it, like very short. That's it. And this final sample. Doom, that's when the protocol begins to teleport away, to like hide, to escape, right? This is the protocol attempting to escape and finally succeeding. Protocol escaped. And some more chops that I did there. The rumble. Dun dun dun. If that motif reappears, it means that it's not over yet. We will persist. We will find you. So the protocol has escaped. We don't know where yet, but just know that you won't be hiding for long. We will persist and we will find you. How did you make the animation? Cinema 4D. A lot of Cinema 4D. There's a renderer I like to use called the Corona renderer. And it's CPU based, which has an advantage and a drawback. It means You can use it no matter the GPU that you have. So, for example, some renderers like Octane, they only support NVIDIA GPUs, and older versions do not support newer GPUs. There are some renders that only use AMD GPUs, and then the Corona renderer is CPU based, which means it only works on the CPU. You don't need to have a specific GPU because it doesn't use the GPU. The drawback is that because it's CPU based, it's very universal. It can work on any computer, but it's really slow. It's super slow. In fact, it takes for like 300 frame animation, depending on where it is. If it's like simple shapes like the protocol, it might take less. But if it's like a very complex shape, like the wings, for example, that show up at the end of the countdown, that took around 12 hours to render for like 300 frames of animation. So yeah. Did you get the Maxon one? There's more versions than the Maxon one. Yeah, it's Maxon Cinema 4D with Corona renderer. And then I did all the post processing, all the compositing, all the color grading I did on DaVinci Resolve. So yeah, it's a mixture of Cinema 4D. Maybe I did some post processing things in GIMP, basically free Photoshop. But yeah, most of the editing work and to put it all together and to color grade the post effects, the glow, the rays, that's all DaVinci Resolve. So we're reaching the end stages of this. Holy fuck, the stems on this seem worse than the. Nah, it really is not. Most of the work that I had to do is just peak cutting, as always, because my mixing and mastering sessions are like very, very similar from song to song. It's like just a cookie cutter project, pretty much all the way. There are some minor modifications to tailor to each song, but the template, the process is the exact same for every song, including NYP. So basically, all I had to do was do some peak cutting, because as you can see, there are a lot of inconsistencies and like volume. There's a bunch of peaks. So I had to export an unmastered version on 32-bit float wave stems. And then what I did was just I inserted a little EQ to remove some boominess on the 59 hertz, because the kick, I believe, this is why, the fundamental frequency of the kick is 59 hertz. So I'm boosting the 59 hertz on the kick and reducing the 59 hertz on the instrumental. So that narrow specific frequency range is just all for the kick, right? Very clever mixing trick. Just know that. Okay, that's that. And then aside from peak cutting, what I also had to do was, if there were any like spikes here, for example, see this little like spiky thingy? That's caused by the plugin delay compensation not being the best in FL. So I basically had to cut that out for a like flawless sidechain. And then to cut the peaks, I have a glue set to catch the peaks very appropriately. As you can see, it's activating only when it's like really loud peaks that like tower over everything else. And that's just mostly to help make everything like more uniform, right? Pro C2 as well. Very, very, very subtle compression, like 1 dB at most. As you can see now, it's only like 0.9 dB. And finally, a soft clipper. The result is, while this looks like very peaky and like very inconsistent, track meter here, it's gonna look a lot more organized. A lot more like sausage-ified, but not quite. Pattern names look like they're jelly. They might, yeah. So we have that, and then of course there's the sub. If you look at the level of the sub bass here, and you look at the level of the sub in the buildup, how come the sub is louder in the buildup than in the drop? We have to fix that. So I inserted a Pro C2 for that. So look at how that's compressing. And that's it. So that's to uniformize. Yeah. and make everything much more of a sausage, right? I just wanted to listen to Astral Bass on Travel Back in Time. Well, 2 for 2. It's a two in one package. And yeah, mostly same thing. Just you head on over to the kick. Maybe cut the hats where you don't need them. Yeah, I just did some cutting. Maybe the very occasional volume automation that was just easier to fix this way, like that. And then there's not much work actually going on the individual stems. There's more like in the mastering chain. So for the mastering chain, very similar stuff to what I've been using for other tracks of mine. It's just an ozone imager, narrowed down the low end, not fully though. It's like 75. So there's still some stereo in the low end. That helps for the orchestral part, which comes later. So if I were to fully narrow it down, it wouldn't sound as wide or as larger than life as it does. And very minor adjustments on the other sides, on the other frequency ranges. Yeah, but I like using imager, so yeah. There's a song where Noisia doesn't cut the sides too. I'm not doing side cutting. I'm just doing like a 4-band crossover, and on the low end, I'm just turning down the side channel a certain volume. Here it shows up as a percentage, -75. But that doesn't mean that the side band is being turned 75 dB on this low end band. That's just like a way to put it. Yeah, no, there are cool songs where you don't have to cut the side at all. This was just like a preventative measure to say if there was too much of a difference between, say, the first drop, which has like very centered, very narrow low end, and then this orchestral part, which just goes like fully like so wide. This was just a way to like make it all like uniform, right? Okay, so we have that. Then we have the dynamics, which I basically just adjusted to each band what I needed. In fact, the low end is even being limited. Let's go to a part with a little bit more low end first drop. New update, please. There it is. So when it crosses 8 dB, it's going to compress with these adjustments, this ratio, this attack, and this release. And then if it still goes above that, it's gonna just get crushed at -6.3 anyway. Right? So this way I make sure that I have just a sausage for a low end, and that actually makes it easier to mix it and to push it louder in the maximizer, which comes later on in this stage. And at this point, it's just go on each band and look for more or less where things start to peak a little bit. So look for like an average point where you could just put this and just leave it there. Okay, and then after the dynamics, of course, we have the maximizer. It's gonna push a certain amount of dB. And there's an automation here that's going to customize how much gain boost we want to actually do. So it's going to be loudest in the drops, as you can see, and it's going to go down in the off drops, in the parts that are not the drops. And I actually had a need to boost it up even further for the ending, because the ending in the pre-master sounded overall quieter than the rest of the song. So to compensate, I just boosted it up a little bit more, so it would be on par with the rest of the song. That's just a thing that I had to do. And then for true peak limiting, I just added this Pro L, no gain boost, no nothing, but with the true peak option on, because Invisible Limiter doesn't have true peak. So it also has times for oversampling. It's the output gain is still at -0.1 on the digital realm. On the analog realm, not so much. So if you were to pull up the loudness meter here without the Pro L, you would see that the true peak level still goes above 0, which means it's going to distort in the analog realm, which means it's more likely that once the audio comes out through your headphones, so like in the computer, internally it might not distort, but once it goes through the DAC on your interface and makes it to your headphones, that's when it clips, right? So to prevent that, I just insert a limiter that is doing no gain boost, so it's not really adding anything, just going to see, like, cut down very, very small sections, very, very little peaks, very small, to make sure that on the analog ground we're still at minus 0.1, and close enough, right? But as you can see, it still stays negative. Well, the results are pretty satisfactory. If you go to like a part, say around here, where there's a lot more going on, around minus 3.5, pretty good. And we're not ruining our dynamics that much because we did the previous work, because we did the work beforehand on trying to cut all these peaks and have it all be like nice and stable. And that's it, really. Just meters to keep track of everything. And that's the finished song. And that's just how it turned out. Once I actually didn't need to do a V2. Just the V1 is the final. The V1 master is just how it came out. Felt like I didn't really need to do any more modifications because it just sounded cool. So, yep. Why bother? Don't fix what ain't broken, folks. And that's it. That's NYP8. Or at least most of it. Jesus, that was a long breakdown. Can't wait for somebody to post a 40-page thesis on the sub base.